Chairman Murkowski, Ranking Member Cantwell, and members of the committee, thank you for this opportunity to be here today. My name is Paul Cicio, and I'm the president of the Industrial Energy Consumers of America. We are an industrial consumer advocate. IECA is not opposed to LNG exports. However, today, there is no energy public policy decision more important than whether or not to approve an LNG export facility for 20 to 30 years. The reason is that all risks associated with the export of LNG fall on the consumer. The larger the LNG export volume, the larger the cumulative risk. Australia has over a 200-year supply of natural gas, which is more than twice that of the U.S., yet today, because of unfettered LNG exports, domestic prices have tripled because the Australian government has failed to protect the consumer. Manufacturers are shutting their doors, power plants are converting from gas to coal, and we do not want to see that happen here. And if long term, if policymakers do not fully implement the Natural Gas Act. The DOE-sponsored NERA report illustrates that LNG exports create winners and losers. It explains how higher natural gas prices can be expected to have a negative effect on output and employment, particularly by sectors that use large amounts of natural gas, and that is us. Figure 12 of our written testimony is directed from the NERA report and shows how exports result in loss of labor, income, wages, capital income, and indirect taxes. Combined, these accelerate wage disparity. And the net economic gain at its peak is a meager $20 billion in 2020 and declines from there. The bottom line is that the bulk of the population is negatively impacted to the benefit of a few, raising questions about how it can be in the public interest. Despite this, the NERA report was used to justify several export applications. In their wisdom, the Congress passed the Natural Gas Act, and they did so with two things in mind: the cost of LNG exports to consumers and implications to trade. Congress understood that unlike so many other tradable products, natural gas is different because consumers do not have a substitute, and it is not renewable. Congress felt a responsibility to act in their behalf to protect the unknowing consumer who does not have the ability to understand the long-term implications of LNG exports. For this reason, the Natural Gas Act includes a provision. It's called the Public Interest Determination and is completed for each application to export to non-free trade countries. However, the Government Accountability Office September 2014 report says that the DOE has not defined public interest. That is a glaring omission, if not a legal issue. If the DOE has not defined public interest, how is it that they can make informed decisions on behalf of 72 million natural gas consumers and 145 million consumers of electricity? Without a definition of public interest, how much public hardship can be inflicted before the DOE denies the next application? The definition of public interest is not a macroeconomic number like the so-called net economic benefit number of the NERA report. The real definition of public interest was pioneered by Justice Brandeis. Quote, "The public interest is that which produces the most good for the most people," unquote. Finally, the Natural Gas Act provides for ongoing monitoring and adjustment to an LNG application. The Natural Gas Act specifically anticipates that adjustments to LNG exports would be in the public interest when it states that DOE, quote, "may from time to time, after opportunity for hearing and for good cause, make such supplemental order in the premises as it may find necessary and appropriate," unquote. So the Natural Gas Act creates an obligation for the DOE to monitor and to do economic impact assessments at regular intervals to be sure that exports do not harm the economy and jobs long term. However, contrary to the Natural Gas Act, the DOE has stated that it does not plan to monitor impacts and make such adjustments. To not do so implies that U.S. policy is designed to protect the capital investment of LNG exporters and not U.S. manufacturing assets. In closing, we urged the support of this committee to conduct oversight and require the DOE to conduct rulemaking to define public interest, create up-to-date decision-making guidance, to condition applications for monitoring, conduct economic assessments at regular intervals, and be prepared to protect the public. We urge the DOE from refraining from further approvals until such time it makes these necessary rulemakings. Thank you.